Okay, so now we're going to take what we just learned using our trig ratios and put this into practice with with a application problem, with an application problem. Let's. I always like to draw a picture when I do things, so I'm gonna read this first and see if I can make some sense of it, and then we'll draw a picture, and then we'll play around with it. So it says a ramp for unloading a moving truck has an angle of elevation of 32 degrees. The top of the ramp is 4 feet above the ground. Estimate the length of the ramp. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to just talk about. We're going to show the back of the truck. Right. So this will be the ground. All right. The driveway or this road, whatever. And then here's kind of like the back bumper of the truck, right? And we'll say that, there the box goes, right? It goes kind of up like that. And so there's a ramp that's set up to it, right? That has an elevation of 32 degrees. So it's, we'll just say it's kind of something like that, right? And we'll say this is our ramp, right? Okay, and so then it says the top of the ramp is 4 feet above the ground, which means that that is like this right here. So from the top of the ramp to the ground, right, is 4 feet, right? So we got 4 feet, right? And then it says this angle of elevation. So that's this right here. It's 32 degrees. The angle of elevation is how much is it going up from like your base, your flat line, right? And so now we've got enough. We don't quite, you know, have enough information. But here's what we know. What we know is we know that this is really, really close to 30 degrees. All right, we know this is 32 degrees, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're going to take a little liberty here. Because it says estimate, it doesn't say find the exact. And if it wanted us to find the exact, we wouldn't have enough information, right? To be fair, but it says estimate. So because it says estimate, we can use a 30, 60, 90 triangle. All right, so this would be, this is our 30, here's our 60, we got our 90, right? And so what we know about our 30, 60, 90s is we know that this is x, we know that this is 2x, and we know that this is x times the square root of 3. Okay, so what we do is it wants us to estimate the length of the ramp. So we want to find this, right? And we know this. So if we know this, that means that we are talking about a sine relationship because we know the angle here, we know this side here, we know that's 4 feet. And let's just write down what we know that's corresponding here. So we know this is 4 feet, right? And we know that this is like 32 degrees, all right? So we're kind of estimating here. So we're going to use this to help us figure out. And the way you figure that out is you set up a ratio, right? And you set up a pretty simple ratio, all right? And so what I know is I know we're going to be talking about the sine of 30 degrees. And so the sine of 30 degrees on this, our special triangle, is equal to x over 2x, which is 1/2, right? So I know that this ratio should basically equal 1/2. So we want to find this right here, right? And so I'm going to use a different color here. So we want to find that, right? So our hypotenuse is our x. All right, so we're gonna go back to our trig ratio here. So it should be proportional, it'd be equal to this same ratio here, right? So think about what sine is. Sine is your opposite over your hypotenuse. So my hypotenuse in this case is x. So I'm gonna put x here. And then my opposite is 4. So you basically just plug in the numbers you have into the respective spots because you have two ratios that should be equal to each other or close to each other, right? Equivalent, right? But not exact, right? So we got 1/2 is equal to 4 over x. Well, this isn't too hard to solve, right? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to multiply each side by x to get x out of the denominator, all right? So I'm going to multiply this side by x, and then I'm going to multiply this side by x, okay? So when you multiply this side by x, they cancel. Okay, 4 over here. And then when you multiply this side by x, you get x over 2. Okay, and now all you got to do to get rid of the 2 is we're going to multiply both sides by 2. Okay, when you want to get rid of a fraction, you basically multiply by the reciprocal. So if you got 1/2, you multiply by 2, right? 2 over 1. So I'll multiply that by 2. You get x is equal to 8. Okay, so if you think about it, this is saying basically this is 4 times this, right? Well, 4 times 2 is 8, right? So you could kind of reason it out. So we are going to estimate the length of the ramp to be 8 feet. And so to write the answer, you would say about 8 feet long, right? Approximately 8 feet long is how long this ramp is. And that's kind of a typical example of how you use the 30, 60, 90 triangles to help you set up equivalent ratios and then solve for things, right? It's set it up, set them both equal to each other, and then just figure out how you're going to do this. And just so you know, there is a way to do this with cross products, all right? So, and I'm going to make a quick little video on this of how to solve it with cross products. If you don't like using cross products, don't watch it, right? But there is a way to do it. It's kind of interesting. I love cross products, so we will see. All right, so we'll see you in one of the next videos.